Hi everyone, today's lesson is going to be on this video here. You can always pause and rewind the video if you've missed something, and I've placed the video on the desktop of every single machine in the computer lab. I've also placed a file called instructions that's on the desktop of every machine, and a folder called Super Python. Okay, so they're the three things you need: this video, the instructions, and the Super Python folder. Now we're going to do two activities today. The first one is the Super Python activity, and then we're going to be doing Microsoft Excel. So let's start with the Super Python one. First thing you do is double click on the Super Python folder, and in that folder you will see a whole pile of files. Now on your computer it could come up as pictures like this, or it may come up as a list like this. It doesn't really matter, either way it's exactly the same. I'm going to go back to the icons just so that it's easy to see. Now one of the files has a red dot next to it. In fact, it's called Superheroes with Mistakes. That's the file that we're going to be working on today, and then you can see there's a whole pile of pictures and other things here. So let's double click on the Superheroes with Mistakes. Now when you double click on this window with all this coding will come up on your screen. You don't need to panic. You click on the top bar, you move it over to the right hand side just a little bit. Now when you've clicked on the top bar, you will see at the top here there's a thing called Run, where you can click on Run and you can say Run Module. And if you have Run Module comes up, this little program here comes up. It's a program about superheroes, but it's got lots of mistakes in it, and we need to fix those mistakes, okay? So the first mistake is the heading says My Funny People, and I don't want it to say My Funny People, I want it to say Superheroes. Under that it says I am hungry, what's for lunch? And I don't want it to say I'm hungry, what's for lunch? I want it to say please select your favorite superhero. So there are two bits of writing that are a mistake in this computer program. Okay, now let's have a look at the pictures. When I click on Spider-Man, Spider-Man comes up. Batman, Batman comes up. The Hulk, oh no, the milk comes up instead of the Hulk. So we need to change this picture from the milk to the Hulk. So that's a problem as well. Mr. Nick, Captain America, Daredevil, The Flash, Pooperman. What is Pooperman? It's supposed to be Superman, so that one's not right, Pooperman. If we click on it, Superman comes up, but the writing is wrong, so we need to fix that. Groot, Green Hornet, Thor, and Wolverine. So the rest of them seem to be okay. So we've got the heading here that needs to be fixed, the heading here that needs to be fixed, the Hulk, which is the milk, and Pooperman needs to be Superman. So we need to fix that. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the program file here. This is the actual program. I'm going to make the screen just a little bit bigger over here, and we scroll down. Now everywhere that you see red on the screen is a clue on how to fix the certain things. So for example, this one says I want my heading to say My Superhero. Okay, so in here you need to type My Superhero, and that'll fix that heading at the top of the screen. This one says I'm not sure if this is the correct image, and if you have a look it says milk.png. I don't think it should say milk. You might have to work that one out, how to fix that one. This one says I am hungry, what's for lunch? But the actual writing says I want the heading to say select your favorite superhero. So you would have to click in here and correct this writing inside of here and make it select your favorite superhero. Then you go down here and you can see here it says Pooperman, and it's not supposed to say that, it's supposed to say Superman. So you would have to fix that as well. When you've done all the changes and you think you've fixed the program, you say File, Save, and that'll save over the top with your fixes. Then you say Run, and you click Run Module, and you can run that module and you can fix that. And it should all work perfectly there. Now, there's a few things I want you to concentrate on. The headings should have the right capital letters, okay? Because it's a heading and it's in a computer program. I've set it up so it should have the right capital letters. Same with this select your favorite superhero. Same with Superman. You need to make sure that. Now, if you make a mistake, let's say here, I'm zoomed in here, right? If I make a mistake here and I accidentally delete the inverted commas, it changes the program and you will get an error. So you need to be really careful not to delete those double inverted commas, okay? It's really important that you don't do that. Okay, so once you've made all of those changes, then your program should run perfectly. I'm not going to make them on this one. I've actually got one that I've already done. So now let's run the one that's actually working. And when you check it, it should say My Superhero at the top. Select your favorite superhero. You click on these different things. The Hulk actually comes up as the Hulk. Superman says Superman. So that's the way that the program should work. So you need to be able to go through and fix that program. Okay, now on the desktop, there'll actually be SuperPython and there'll be 3 folders, one for each of the 3 different classes. Please make sure you only alter the one that's your class so that the people in the other 2 classes, they can go through and do their ones as well, okay? So there'll be 3 of those folders on the desktop. Once you're finished, I want you, and we don't normally do this, but I want you to click the red X's to quit out of the computer program. Now with this program, when you click the red X's, it actually quits out of it. So that's the first part. So that's the end of the first part of your activity. So you need to do that section now. After you've finished that, then you come back and start this next section. Okay, so now we're going to do the second part of the video, and this is Microsoft Excel. Now you've used Microsoft Excel before. We did graphs with that last time. So now we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So you click on Microsoft Excel and we are going to start with a new blank document and we hit create. Now if you remember, the first thing that I did was I went down to the bottom right hand corner and I zoomed in so I could make my grid much easier to see. And you should remember, columns go down, rows go across. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a shopping list. We're going to put 5 things in our shopping list and put the price of the 5 things next to them. So let's start with the standard things most people buy. Bread, milk, maybe fruit. We could get some veggies, some veg. And maybe we could buy some sweets, let's just put sweets. Right, so we're going to buy some sweets as well. Now we're going to put in the price of some of these things. So I'm going to say bread costs $5.25. I'm going to say that milk costs $3.75. I'm going to say we spend a bit on fruit. We're going to spend $9.80 on fruit. Doesn't really matter. I'm just making these numbers up. Vegetables, we're going to spend $7.50. And sweets, we're going to spend $2.30. Okay, so that's how much money. These are just make-up numbers, but that's how much money, let's say, we're going to spend on fruit and vegetables and groceries this week. Now, I need to know how much money I am going to take to the grocery store to cover the cost of my shopping list. So I'm going to write down the bottom here, total. And I'm going to highlight that and I'm going to make it bold and underlined so that I know that it's the end of this column. I know that the total's there, and I'm going to move to this next blank box here. Now in this next blank box we are going to put in a formula, and a formula is a way to work out some of the maths without you needing to use a calculator or without you using a pen or a pencil. The computer can do it for you. So we're going to put a formula in here. Now what we do is we actually click up the top here in the formula bar. So we've still got this box highlighted, but we click in the formula bar here, and this is the formula we're going to write for the first one. We say equals the sum, which is like an addition. And then we do a bracket, which can be found above the number 9. We do our first bracket. Then we click in the first box where we want our formula to start. We hold down the shift key and we click in the bottom box where we want our formula to end. Then we put the other bracket on, we hold down shift and above the number 0, and then we hit enter. And what that has done is that has done all of the maths of adding all of those different costs up together, and it gives us a total cost down the bottom here. So that first formula is equals the sum with a bracket, then you hold down, you click on the first box, hold down shift, click on the last box with the shift still hold, then you let go, then you close the brackets, hit enter, and then it should give you the total. So that's the first formula. Now, I have written on the whiteboard at the front of the room, I've written this formula, this first formula, plus On your desktop are the instructions over here. Don't forget those instructions there. So if you need to read those instructions, you can read those instructions. So the first thing you're going to do now is you're going to go and copy this exactly on your Mac. I want it identical. I want you to be able to open it up, write all of these things with the same numbers, and then put your formula in and check that you get the same answer. That's the first part. Once you finish that, we'll go to the next section of the video. This is the next section of the video for the Microsoft Excel. So we go into Excel, we start another blank document right here, and we zoom in bottom right hand corner the way that we always do. We're zooming right in close so that we can see our columns and our rows. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to pretend that we are running a running race, that we are hosting a running race. Okay, so we're going to have 5 people who join our running race. We're going to have John, we're going to have Paul, we're going to have George, and we're going to have Sarah, and we're going to have Ringo, and we're going to have, let's have one more, let's have Alice. Okay, so there we go. We've got 6 people there who are in our running race. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to give them a time for their running race. So we're pretending that we've had a 100-meter running race like Usain Bolt, and we are going to give a time for each of these people, right? So the first person had 24 seconds to run 100 meters. The second person was 26 seconds to run 100 meters. The next one was 22.5 seconds. Sarah was 21, she was really fast. Ringo was a little slower, he was 25.2 seconds. And Alice ran in at about 23.4 seconds, okay? So I just made those numbers up, right? But they're the running race we had for 100 meters, that's what they did. Now we are going to use the same sum formula that we used before. We're going to put that in here for the total amount of seconds that they ran. So we go up here into the formula bar and we do equals the sum bracket of B1, hold down shift, down to B6, holding down shift, let it go, and then we close our brackets and then we hit enter. So that is the sum. That's the one that we've been doing in our last piece of work. We just did that. Equals the sum, brackets, and then we did our range, and then we closed the brackets, okay? So that's how we do the sum. That's the total. That's the same as what we did a minute ago in our previous example. Now we're going to do another one. We're going to do one called average. Now the average is if everyone in the world ran the running race and then we divided by the amount of people, we would know what the average person runs. So in this situation, in the competition, if we got all of these 6 people and we work out what the speed they all ran, the time they all ran, and then we divide it by 6, that'll give us the average time, right? The time that most people would do it at. That's what the average time is, right? So I'm going to click in this box here, and I'm going to do the formula. Now, here's the trick. I'm going to do exactly the same formula, except instead of having the word sum, I'm going to put the word average in. So I'm going to write equals average, open the brackets, click at the top, hold down shift, click at the bottom, close my brackets, hit enter. So the formula is pretty much exactly the same, except I changed the word sum to the word average. And you can see here it says the average time was 23.68333333 seconds, right? So people who are a bit higher than that, like John, he's a little bit slower. Paul, a little bit slower. But then other people like Sarah and Alice, they're a little bit quicker than that average time. So that's the average time. That's what they expected to get, okay? Now, if we look at our formulas, I'm just going to show you the formulas. Here we go. There's equals the sum, brackets, and in this case it's B1 to B6, close brackets. Now let's look at the average. Equals average, brackets, B1 to B6. So it's exactly the same, except the word has changed from sum to average. Now we're going to do that again, and this time we're going to do one called count. We highlight that, bold italic, we click here, and we're going to write exactly the same formula again, except this time we're going to put the word count in. Click at B1, hold down shift to B6, close the brackets, hit enter. Okay, and this time it says 6, and what count does is it counts how many people did the race. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so our count is correct. And our average is 23.6 and our total seconds is there. So that's the way that we're using the same formula, we're just changing the name, sum, average and count. Now let's say something magic happened. Let's say that we had one more person came and joined the race, and I'll put them in here. I'm just going to insert a row in here, and I'm going to say a new person came along, Mary. And Mary came in and she ran a, let's have her do a really fast time. So if she did 15 seconds, so she's really fast. So the total time is going to go up by 15 seconds. The average time will come down because Mary was really fast, so that's going to bring the averages down. So the average time will be lower, and the count should increase because we've got 7 people now. So let's have a look. I'll hit 15, I'll hit enter. And you can see the total time went up, the average came down, it was 23 seconds, now it's 22.4. So it went down and the count went up, okay? So by adding people in here, the formula are still clever enough to remember that it's going from there to there. So that's one thing that we could do is add extra people. So you need to check your notes and you need to make sure that you know how to write sum, average and count. So your job right now is to go back to your desk, create a new Excel document, choose 6 people, any 6 people, I don't care who it is, it can be Santa Claus, it can be Beyonce, it can be whoever you like, I don't care who you have running. You choose 6 people in here, you give them 6 times, you do the total and use the sum formula, you do the average and use the average formula, you do the count and you use the count formula. Now, as per usual, I have all of these written on the whiteboard at the front of the room, so you can see them at the front of the room, and I've written them in the instructions in here that's on the desktop of your machine, so you can even check up on how to do it on the desktop of your machine. Okay, once you finish that activity, so you've done all of that, I want you to save the file. You're going to go File, Save. You're going to type your name in here. This is really important. So I would write Nick, and then you hit Save, and you save your file to the desktop. Now I'm going to be checking these files on Wednesday, so you need to make sure that you have saved your file. You click Save and you save your file. And once you've finished that, if you've still got time over and your teacher says it's okay, you can go on to Purple Mash and you can have a few games on Purple Mash, right? But this is the most important thing that you have to do first. Okay, bye.